Hello, welcome once again to our podcast this weekend. This is the Gracious Hope Livestream Podcast. My name is Alexander Wright. I'm so excited to be here to talk about my country, Liberia, our homeland. And Reverend Suah Deddeh is also here in the studio, and he'll be joining us shortly. And we'll be looking at talking about steps for Liberia to grow. Now, this is just part one today. And we will continue as a series on how better our country can be when it comes to food security, because we know Liberia primarily imports basic life necessities, including its staple food, rice, and other commodities from other countries. And moreover, Liberian business owners are not in complete control of boosting the economy. Why? Because we still have questions. And those questions will be answering them today, as well as our subsequent broadcast that will be coming up in a few weeks from now. And so this question is what remains, which is how can we produce and encourage Liberian-owned businessmen and women to take charge of food security and relevant sectors of the economy for the independence of self-sufficiency. And that's what we'll be talking about today. And I'm so glad that you are joining us here. And we're talking about food security according to the Wikipedia definition of food security. And I'm going to put down the screen to share it here with you. It has to do with the measure of the availability of food and individuals' ability to access it. According to the United Nations Committee on World Food Security, food security is defined as meaning that all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their food preferences and dietary needs for an active and healthy life. And so we also see that food security, in order for you to understand food security, it has to do with the pillars of food security, and looking at the determining factors. We're talking about food should be available at every measure, and the availability of food supply. We see domestic production is important, import capacity, food stock, food aid as a whole. Also, which once you have the purchasing power, you have access to food security, and that, of course, will take care of your physical body, as well as the economy, and also nutritional factors. And so we see the list here. These are all pillars that I took from the USAID website, where these are indicators for how we can access food and some of the factors that are involved, as well as the availability of food. So our podcast today we'll be focusing on food security, and subsequently in other weeks that will be coming up, we'll be talking more about how Liberians can do certain things in order to jumpstart or boost the economy. And we'll have some guests that will be coming in to be talking about new ideas in which, of course, can promote an entrepreneurship spirit of our country. And that's what we need right now. We need to grow and be more secure food-wise. And I said this because there are many Liberians who are concerned why we have abundance of landscape and or land, and we import food from other countries. Why? Why should it be that way? Is there any way that we can change that? Of course. And I have Dr. Moneyba here, who will tell us about why food security is so essential
Liberians,
to our life.
We always say that we want to build our country, we want to develop our country. Yet we don't do the simple things. Liberians, we always say that we want to build our country, we want to develop our country. Yet we don't do the simple things that's needed to be able to do so. Let's look at agriculture, for example. Cocoa, tomatoes, onions, things that we can easily grow in this country, easily grow, we import from Cote d'Ivoire. Let's look at pepper. We import from Guinea and Cote d'Ivoire. Peanuts, we import from Guinea. We also go as far as Togo to import things such as potatoes. Let's even look at the staple food of rice, something that every single day Liberian men say he has to eat. We spend over $200 million every single year importing from places such as China, Indonesia, Japan, and Thailand. How are we going to build our own country? Imagine spending $200 million not to import rice, but to build our agriculture sector, to hire farmers, to hire Liberians, to be able to cultivate our land so that we can have food security in this country. There's no reason why every school in this country shouldn't have a small farm or a small garden. There's no reason why every high school student shouldn't have the technical and vocational training to be able to cultivate their land. And there's no reason why every county in this country should not have the ability to help with the food security in this country. There's no reason why we should be importing things such as pepper, fruits, rice. These are things that we have to be able to change. We have to change our mindset in how we say we want to build this country. We have the people. We have the talent. We have the land. And we have the weather. The question now is, are we going to have the mindset to do so? And we don't need government to come tell us to grow farm. We don't need government to tell schools to do so, to tell individuals to do so. We have to be able to grow what we eat.
Okay, we are having some technical glitch here today. Sorry about that, but this is all about how well we can secure our country when it comes to food security. And our co-host of this program, Rabbi Suah, Deddeh, is here. Rabbi Deddeh, we are back here again to talk about food security, how abundant we have in landscape and the irrigation of our land. It is something that I believe that all Liberians need to think about. And as you saw in this video, Dr. Clarence Moniba said, why would we be importing pepper, even our own staple food, from far away like Thailand, China, or the other countries? And we have the abundance of land, and we have the manpower or the women power. Why so? So that's why we'll be focusing our podcast today. And what do you make of this, Pastor Deddeh?
I tell you what, for us who grew up in Liberia with parents who were farmers, my mom planted cassava and she harvested cassava. We have more than cassava and we sold some. So that tells me before now people were very involved in farming in Liberia. There were people who were growing rice in Liberia. There were people who were growing edibles in Liberia. But the question is, what has happened? When we talk about sufficiency, it means you need no outside help. You have the basic needs you want, especially when it comes to food production. I was looking at a research that said Liberia is a least developed, low income and food deficit country. According to the 2016 United Nations Development Program, UNDP, Human Development Report, Liberia was ranked 177 out of 188 countries, falling within the category of countries with low human development. Why? It said that we don't have farmers who are dedicated to farming, or government is not paying attention to mechanized farming. We're not talking about subsistence farming right now. Mechanized farming is what we need in Liberia. Farm to market roads, that's what we need in Liberia right now. Why are we having these issues? So I'm thinking, is it government failure or the people failure? Who's responsible? That's what we're trying to answer today, Alex.
Yes, responsibility, surely. But according to Dr. Clarence Moneyback, it is our responsibility individually. We don't have to depend on government, even though the government has the big chest enough to fund, okay, to bring the resources or to provide the resources, but we ourselves should be willing to grow. And exactly. I know the local farmers or local producers right now, and a lot of Liberians are engaging in the farming industry, but it is not the highest output, that is expected. And so this is where the problem is. And if you look at some reports here, and I was looking through USAID and also the World Food Program, looking at overview report on Liberia from the year of 2001 through 2021. The 2021, it was 2021. Actually, from 2020 to 2021 last year. And they were saying that 85% of the population live in, let's say, lack or deficient in nutrition. So they're looking at children, they're looking at families, they're looking at the individual, they're looking at the import and the output of our produce. And they came up with this report, but it is a report I believe that we all can look at and see, especially those who are in leadership regarding food security, should look at these reports. And I know they have been seeing it, but how can we increase the input, the output? Let me say that. That's what I meant to say. How can we increase the output so that we can be secure? Because if we are importing rice and other basic life necessities, things that we need, especially when it comes to food, things that we're used to besides rice, pepper, and he was mentioning about some other things too that we can grow. Why are we getting food from other neighboring countries like Guinea and that he was talking about?
That is interesting, Ellis. That is very interesting. I was talking with somebody who traveled recently to Liberia, and they went out of Monrovia, and he said he traveled from Lima to Deddeh, and when he got in Deddeh, he needed some, I think, plantain or banana, and according to him, now I'm quoting him, he could not find plantain in Deddeh, so he had to send somebody to Lima to buy some plantain. I don't know how true this is, but I'm just sharing what he says. If this is true, why aren't we producing things like plantain, bananas that we know we would need? Why would we want to leave one county to go to another county when you have the same fertile soil in your county and you're not growing the tuber crops or planting the banana and things that you need in your place? Now, do we put that on government? I don't think so, because we should be able agriculturally to begin to do our own or take our own initiative as it comes to plenty food and the rest of that. But government still has a role to play, and that's what I'm saying. For this subsistence farming now, it's been good in the past, but we got to go beyond that. Subsistence means you have enough to eat. Maybe you can share a few with your brothers and sisters or your other community dwellers. But when you talk about mechanized farming, where you have equipment to move the soil, to plant faster than people do with their hands, that is the kind of farming we're talking about. But are we close to that kind of farming, Ellis? I'm not too sure. It was interesting to know that the Liberia Transitional RCS report from 2018 to 2019, it states in a quote, the socio-economic conditions in Liberia are stark, with some 54% of the population living below the global poverty line, a third of which live in extreme poverty. I'm quoting from this report. An estimated 18% of Liberians are food insecure. And they quote in the Liberia Food Security Assessment of 2015. Now, of the 18%, about 52,000 households, which is 2% of the population, are severely food insecure, Ellis. This is a huge number. And if nothing is done, this number will increase. And, poverty is not anything anybody wants. So if it keeps increasing, we must stay in a dire situation when it comes to feeding the populace, Ellis.
Yeah, feeding the populace is a security issue, and it's not just on an individual level, but it is a political issue as well, because any nation that does not feed its nation, its people sufficiently, it can bring security problem. And we can see the indicator from many other countries that have been at war or they engage in overthrowing the government because of food. Remember back in 1979, the rice riot with William Tarbert as the president at the time. It was because people felt insecure, So food security, it is a security issue that is both for political. It is a threat to our political environment as well as our social and cultural environment. And if you want to see like a family, okay, to see if they are well off or not, look at the children to see if they are malnourished or not. If they are healthy and going to school and everything is okay, then they feel secure. But it is tough in these days because the war that took place, followed by the Ebola and COVID, had some sort of effect on the economy, not just in Liberia but globally. And we know that the United States is still recovering, and we're hearing about monkeypox, and other countries are still recovering in a sense. In fact, the United States now is recovering job-wise. They just added 528 million jobs. So that is a very good indicator. However, when it comes to our country, Liberia, it puzzles me for us to be importing. And it's good that Dr. Clarence Moniba made it very clear and say, hey, this is a problem here. You're making yourself insecure. It is not anybody out there. You're making yourself insecure. Why not get up and see what can be done? But I believe he's also speaking to the leadership, those that are in charge of decision making, to make sure that our country has enough food. So instead of depending on other people, let us learn to be self-sufficient in every way. And that is the message I believe Dr. Moniba is sending out there. Because if we can go next door neighbor and get the same kind of produce that they grow from their own soil, what is going on with us? Is it because of lack of the resources, the money, or the machine or the equipment, or lack of training, or what? And this is where we need to know what's going on and why can we feed ourselves.
Alex, well, in the 80s, we had the Green Revolution by Dr. Samuel Doe. And that Green Revolution was to encourage Liberians to return to the soil so that we grow food not just to feed ourselves, but to feed and maybe feed the extended family and be able to sell some of the produce from what we have on our farms so that we can live a better life. But the Green Revolution failed. Of course, we know what happened. The war came and that whole Green Revolution thing died. Way down in the 70s, William Tarbert Jr., he was a farmer. I live in Bentonville. He had orange farm. He had a pineapple farm. He had a banana. I mean, he had almost everything growing in that place. So the soil is fertile. My question is, and I don't know where I'm going to get this answer from, except we contact the agriculture officials in Liberia. What is the problem? It's not the soil. We have the soil. We have the farmers. Is it that government is not pumping money or rejuvenating the Green Revolution in Liberia for us to be food self-sufficient? What is going on? And if you ask government officials, I believe they will tell you they're doing everything, as they usually say, they're doing everything, okay, for the agricultural sector. For example, that is the document I think maybe you know about that, the 2030 vision, the 2030 vision for Liberia. Mm-hmm. As a response to Liberia's myriad challenges, the government crafted a long-term strategy dubbed the Vision 2030, Liberia Rising, in which it has outlined plans aimed at lifting Liberia to a middle income status by 2030. My question is, where is that plan? How is the plan festering? What is government doing with that plan right now? We had a guest, Dr. Dawn. He mentioned that plan in passing. And he said, and I hope I don't misquote him, the plan is similarly dead. Now, if we have Vision 2030 and work towards Vision 2030, I believe, I stand corrected, but I believe the effort we place in that Vision 2030 to make Liberia food sufficiency and other things, it must suffice, it might happen. But are we implementing this Vision 2030, which took months to put into place? People travel around the country. They came to the diaspora. I was one of those moderators at one of the conferences in Maryland. I mean, one of the town meeting in Maryland, okay, discussing the Vision 2030. Cabo came, and there are no Cabo from Liberia, okay? But where is this plan? What has been done with the plan, Ellis? This is something we need to dig a little bit and get some answers to.
Yes, we need to think about that. We're all Liberians. We love our homeland, and we want to progress. We want to develop in every way, especially in the food sector industry. And we know that if we are secure in the way where we can feed ourselves sufficiently or in abundance, then we will see that our self-esteem, and purpose in life will all come together. Remember, it's not all about just living and sleeping, but again, food is always important. And I remember when I was very little, I used to break bread with my family every time. And then when I was ready to go to school, when I was in elementary, my younger brother and I, my dad used to give us, pennies to go and buy the collar to time. Yeah, so we had enough food at the time, but whether it was produced locally, what it brought, my guess would be that most of those, like in the past governments, they were still importing food from other countries. And this is just an ongoing thing. And I believe that it is time that we need to stand up for ourselves and bring together that unity in one spirit so that we can have a business environment. And we'll be getting more into business ownership. What are some of the needs or the need for business ownership in our country, so that Liberians can take hold of their own economy. And it is the reality right now that we see those who are not Liberians, and I don't have anything against them. But what I'm trying to say is that we should not allow them to take hold of the economy or to dictate the economy. It's our own country. We live there. And I believe Dr. Moneyba is saying we can be self-sufficient in everything because we have the soil to do so, and we have the strength. And even it goes back to our educational system, where he mentions that there should be, more classes on how we can grow our own food. And that is very important for us to do. Now, if you're just joining us, this is the Gracious Hope live broadcast here this Saturday. And we are here every Saturday. And so today we are talking about steps for Liberia to grow. And this is not just the first. We'll have more to come with other guests that will be coming on to tell us more or give us more ideas about what it means to be self-sufficient as a nation of people. I believe our guest for today is coming on. He just sent me a text that he's running late, but he will be coming on pretty soon if he can get through. Hopefully he will come through. And you and I were talking earlier about how in Liberia the internet issue can be problematic. The internet can be problematic at times. And we have had guests on this program who have had problems in coming on. They will come on and they'll fade out because the internet is weak. But I hope Sir Alex Devine Jr. will make it. to come in, and so that we can discuss all that is important to our country, which is we want to get some positive ideas on how we can grow as a country. We will be right back. So we've been having some glitches today. I'm not sure why the internet service is going up and down, or something is going wrong. I'm not sure. And even our guest is having some issues, some technical issues as well. Hopefully he will make it in. Yeah, so as we're talking here, if you're just joining us, this is the Gracious Hope Livestream Podcast, and we are here every Saturday, and we're talking about how better we can secure ourselves when it comes to feeding ourselves. And Dr. Moniba, Clarence Moniba, mentioned in the video here that we are importing common things or commodities or food that we can grow ourselves. Why are we going to Guinea and Ghana and other places? Why should we do so? So it's a matter of security, food security, and how best we Liberians can come together and wake up from both the leadership and the individual within the community to feed ourselves and to secure ourselves in every way instead of importing. Because if the government is spending $2 million, he said $2 million, right, Reverend Deddeh? $2 million on rice import from Thailand, China, and other countries in Asia, that's a lot of money. So why that the government cannot take that $2 million importing rice in the country to invest it in maybe the resources that the farm industry will need, or the farmers will need to put people to work, and so they can grow more food. And that makes a lot of sense. And there was a $4 million given to, I believe, was a Muslim community for the Ramadan. I'm not sure, I think, but again, you know, we have the money. I believe we have the money. I believe that we should spend it in areas where that money needs to go. But if we are insecure as Liberians when it comes to feeding ourselves, when there's any future calamity, we will suffer the consequences. For example, look at the Ebola time, and look at the COVID time. People were asking government to give them subsidy, right, to provide some money, because the government have mandated that all people or everyone should stay indoor at a certain time. That was a curfew imposed. But then people were saying, but if we stay indoor, how do you expect us to go outside and look for food? How we gotta go outside and get food? So because a company will stay in, then you got to provide incentives. I mean, it made sense, but that was an embarrassing time that people could not even afford, you know, to feed themselves. And it goes back to the same security thing we're talking about, Reverend Deddeh. If we're not secure when it comes to food, yeah, we have a security threat, and it threatened our country before or in the past. And then there was a regime change because of that. People died. The rest riot, about over 150 people died. Those who were taken off the street by force by the Tabo administration. And it is the same food insecurity now, still brewing. And we heard a few months ago that the rice price on the market was very high, and the Commerce Ministry had to go on the street to some of the stores that were hiking the price to seize the rice. I know it's somehow draconian to do that, you know, to go to somebody's a store to seize all their goods. However, it is because maybe there is no certainty of standard, or there is no way in which Liberians can be organized with a certain concept or understanding that we have to secure our country. This is what we need to do. Or maybe the leaders in the House of Representatives and the Senate, and those in the executive as well, the Minister of Agriculture, to see how this whole importing of basic food that we need from other countries, how can it be stopped or end, may I say, and how can we grow food ourselves? And that is a question that I'm not saying the Ministry of Agriculture is not doing anything. I'm not saying so either. I'm saying that that we are here at Gracious Hope Live Podcast. We are moved by the video by Dr. Clarence Moniba, about importing $20 million a year, $2 million. He said, did he say 20 or I think he said $2 million a year?
I think he said $2 million.
Yes, just importing rice from Thailand and China and other places, whereas we could grow them right in our country. Pepper, banana. Why should we get them from other countries around us or in West Africa? There's no need for that.
That's true. That's true. I'm reading a comment from Tony. I hope I'm pronouncing the name rightly. Tony Edmonia Afa Goa. Somehow.
Yeah.
If I'm mispronouncing the name, I'm sorry. She said access to farm. No, yeah, access to farm market. Thank you, Ellis, for putting it up. Mitigating post-harvest loss, value addition. These are the major challenges faced by farmers here in Liberia, which is true. I mentioned that more than once when I introduced my presentation. If farmers are producing produce and there is no clear farm to market rules, the produce is going to just rot on the farm, and all the efforts would have gone in vain. So it is the government. I'll keep going back to the government because it's the government that provide the farm to market road, those assets for the farmers to move produce from one place to another. And there's one thing that we should mention also: food insecurity affects the children and women as well. And this is something we need to mention because it has a serious debilitating consequence on not children alone, women as well. According to the Liberia Demographic and Health Survey of 2013, undernutrition remains a serious public health and social economic problem affecting mostly women and children. Now, these are the people who are going to take after those who are in leaderships today. If nothing is done to make sure they grow up in a society with clear nutrition, to be healthy citizens and good citizens, we are plaguing our future. It comes to national security as well. So food insecurity is a serious matter that we have to address. When I say have, we have to put time to it. Government have to really get involved and encourage the citizenry, the farmers, people who already know farming, to get involved so that we feed ourselves. We produce enough food to feed ourselves. It is not impossible, Alex. It's a scriptural too. When God made Adam and Eve in the garden in Genesis, he told them to multiply and replenish. It goes to farming as well. So from biblical time to now, farming is a crucial issue for subsistence, to grow, to eat good food, to eat healthy food and grow. So this is no joking matter that we're talking about. It's a serious matter that has to be given serious attention. I was reading the agenda for transformation, for the government. Okay, there's aspects of these plans are elaborated in the agenda for transformation. It's the 2012 government produced project. It gives a 5-year plan that lays out government's medium and long-term development priorities. So if you look at this agenda for transformation, they list steps in which they want to improve the issue of food security and social development, social economic development in Liberia. I hope that is followed so that we see concrete and significant change in our food production in Liberia.
Yes, we are all hoping for that. And we are so glad to know that our guest is backstage. Sir Alex Devine Jr. is here, and we'll be right back here to bring in our guests. Don't go away. All right, and we are so glad to bring in our special guest today, Sir Alex Devine Jr. Let me bring him on here, put him on the screen. He has some technical difficulties in the background. Here you are. Okay, Mr. Devine, or Sir Devine, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be at this time. I'm sorry I had to come late. Of course, technical difficulties, of course, but it's good to be here at this time. Thank you for having
Welcome,
me.
sir. Welcome.
Yes. Youth for Change. You are an honoree, and you'll be traveling again. And you have been honored in recent time. A few months ago, you were with the vice president at an honoring program in Ghana. And you have been doing some very good work with young people and inspiring them and making them to make sense of their self-worth and self-esteem and to understand their identity within our society. I think that is very important for our young children. Sir Devine has been good at doing it all these years, and he has been recognized not just within our country, our homeland, but also other countries around our within the region. And it is an honor to have this Liberian receive humanitarian awards, not just one time, two times, and now he's an honoree to receive another. And so he has been working with young people. Sir Devine, we have been talking about food security as a whole and to see how Liberians can take charge of the economy themselves in order for us to grow more food, because food insecurity brews tension, and that's what happened back in 1979, the Red Wire. And many people don't realize that up to now that we import a whole lot of food from other countries, like banana from Guinea, and also rice from faraway countries such as Thailand, China, and some other Asian countries. And so it is a concern. And the way that we know that young people that you engage with most of the time, that they are from a very good home, is that if they are well nourished and they appear healthy, then you know. But if they appear sad and malnourished, you know that there's something going on within our home. And you have seen a lot of young people probably who might have complained to you about, food insecurity as a whole. So we invited you as a guest to share some ideas about steps that we can take as Liberians to grow our own country, or to make every contribution so that our country can grow in every sector. So
I'll start out by taking it from three perspectives. First of all, I'll look at it from the individual perspective. I'll look at it from the biblical perspective, and I also look at it from a national perspective. So I'll give a few examples. The first thing is that from an individual perspective, anyone who feeds you controls you. And so anyone who feeds you controls you, your movement, your sense of direction, and that is a personal perspective. If I give you food, I direct how you behave, and I controls your movement. From the biblical perspective, and I can just give two common examples. You will follow the story of Jacob and Isaac and Jacob. That is a common story of what food means for human being. And someone who said, "Feed me, I'm hungry, and I will give you my birthright." And that story goes on, and you can find out what happens at the end of the day, because the man was hungry. He said, "But even if I don't eat now, I will still die. So why can't I just get the food and eat?" And you could see the biblical implication as well. And so also coming from the national perspective, a country that does not feed itself, it is a country that does not have independence, because your independence is directed from how you are able to control your people. And in Liberia, our staple food here in Liberia is rice, and this has been proven over time. And if a country that is not able to feed itself, it means that the people, the loyalty and the allegiance of the people to you has been threatened. So these are three common examples for me, who have worked with young people over time across this country. It still remains a national crisis in our country today. It still remains a national crisis. Am I there?
Yeah, yes.
We hear you. Yeah. We are hearing you. Go ahead. I think we just lost him.
That's a delay. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Sir Devine is currently in Liberia, so the internet strength over there is, or bandwidth is not strong.
Yeah.
To stay on from time to time. We have experienced it with other guests too, and hopefully we will get a better internet or a place where our guests in our homeland will go and come on the air, without going through all of these.
Exactly.
All of that.
Exactly.
But anyway, he was making a very good point. Okay. And I believe that point, it is very essential to each of us, knowing that, yes, if you can feed someone, yes, you can control it in a way, because
that's why it's national security issue. That's why I mentioned national security. That's what it is.
Yes,
you're right.
That's true.
You're right.
He's right.
Yeah, he's right about that. And the thing about the biblical one, I think he meant Esau and Jacob. It was Esau and Jacob. Yeah, where Esau ate his birthright because he was hungry, and Jacob gave him food, and that affected him seriously. And of course, the role of government and the rest of that. So the three legs he gave are all very important and significantly explained. Because food, Ellis, is you. It's you. If you are hungry, anybody can mislead you, Ellis. If you are hungry, anybody can give you any dangerous tax to undertake because you want to feed yourself so desperately, and you want to do anything to survive. It's a dangerous thing. It's a national security thing, and as I mentioned, it's against children and women as well. So any government that cannot feed its people stays in danger of having all kinds of problems in the society. You mentioned 1979. 1979 was both a political issue and an economic issue, with the social agitation going on. Because I was there in the 70s, right on Buchanan Street by immigration, Assembly of God church and school, and I saw this thing going on because every Saturday, at least, we went out to go to the mutiny, children afternoon show. I don't know if you went to children afternoon show. I did that every Saturday, and we were out getting ready for the movies, and we saw this group of people running from one place to another, police going on, ambulance, and things just went amok, okay? Because the government intended to increase the price of a 100-pound bag of rice. That was the issue then. And again, it tells you how food insecurity creates a national security issue. That just speaks to that, Alex. Can you hear me, Alex?
I can hear you now.
I think you're having technical issue too, Alex.
I think so.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So all I'm saying with what Devine just said, and Tony comments and intervention on this program, we have to take this matter very seriously. This is nothing to take for granted. We know how dangerous it is. And back to this agenda for transformation that I mentioned. This agenda for transformation by the government itself identify enhance food security and improve nutrition within the Liberian population as two priority interventions, which are detailed in the strategies. The first one is detailed in the Liberia Agricultural Transformation Agenda of 2016 and in the National Food Security and Nutrition Strategy of 2008. So this transformational desire to enhance the food production in Liberia is seen as something the government is prioritizing. I want to believe that. But I just hope that this prioritization goes further than just on paper, so that we see the concrete manifestation of the government's intention to have food security in Liberia, Alex.
Yes, that's what we are hoping to do. So that's what we are hoping will happen, because food security is always important. And if we are looking at these reports saying that Liberia is still insecure when it comes to food, then we ought to be on the alert to do everything possible as Liberians individually, not just looking up to the government, but how can we organize ourselves in a way that we can get resources from the places that we need to, so that we can secure ourselves in every way. And let's see here. There's a comment here by one of the listeners. Let's see. I'm going to put it on the screen. And Reverend Deddeh, can you see it? Can you read that?
Yes. Yeah. I think the person says, why aren't we people making subsistence? By Renaissance is hand to mouth farming anymore. So your question is, why aren't we doing subsistence farming anymore, hand to mouth? In other words, we feed ourselves at least, and then in the future we can feed others. I think that's this question, and this is a serious question. Like I mentioned earlier when we started, I mentioned my own mom, and we used to go. My mom and my sibling used to go on the cassava farm early in the morning to cut the cassava stick and plant the cassava, and then we make sure we took it to that farm, and the cassava grew. We fed ourselves and our friends in around us, and like I mentioned, she sold some of the cassava for some financial income. Now, if we did that then, it is not impossible today. And let's just say something here. We're not saying some farmers are not working diligently. That's not what we're saying on this program today. That's far removed from the truth. What we are saying is not enough. It is not sufficient now in the country. That's why we discussing this food insecurity in our country, food insufficiency in our country, which leads to undernutrition, malnutrition, and things like that. This is not how we want it to be, and it's want to be at a place where we are able to not just feed ourselves, but be able to feed others around us. This is the point I'm trying to make here today.
Yes. And this he said another question this viewer has said, why is the over reliance or interference?
Over financing government for producing food. Why is the over financing government for producing food? I don't understand that one. But because if government the government was over financing food production, we'll have food sufficiency in Liberia. So maybe he meant something else other than what that came across to us. So people have interest in this discussion, Ellis, because like I mentioned, and I will keep saying it, we have to eat. An empty bag cannot stand. If you are hungry, you are vulnerable. If you are hungry, you are vulnerable. That is the reality that we can't run from. That's why our country must be able to provide a means for the farmers to produce more food so that everybody gets something to eat, so that people will not come and infiltrate our society with just what would I say, tricks to get people involved in doing things against the country because they are hungry. I mean, this is a serious national security issue that has to be addressed. So I will keep going back to the government, because the government plays a pivotal role in making sure that people are encouraged to farm, and that our people are fed sufficiently, so that people can be disgruntled and give into issues that would bring chaos in our society. That's the point I'm trying to make today.
Okay, I know this writer is asking, we got a number to call in, or we don't have a number to call in, but hopefully next week, Saturday, we'll be back here and we'll be looking at why is it so important that Liberians' own business should flourish in our economy. What are some of the indicators to help Liberians to flourish? And we'll have a special guest here next week at the same time to talk more about some ideas. You will be able to give some ideas, and hopefully we will be able to learn from him about that. Our guest today, Alex Devine, came in, but the internet problem took him out. So hopefully we'll talk to him again at some point. But we'd like to thank all of you for joining us. This is the Gracious Hope Livestream Podcast. We are here every Saturday at 8 p.m. GMT. That is the Liberian time in the United States. It is 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. And if you live in the Pacific Standard Time Zone, it's at 1 o'clock p.m. And that's how we'll do it today. And we'll be back here. Don't forget that this is a series going on. We'll be talking about steps, things that we can do or steps that we can take, whether bit by bit, just to get our country going. And we believe that these are contemporary issues that we'll discuss because it is in our interest as a people, one nation, one people, under God. Thank you so much. And Reverend Deddeh, I believe this is where we'll leave you for today.
Yeah. Thanks. We praise God for this time. I see is the River Says Pro. I don't know what name is that, but he said a good conversation. I agree with him. Thank you for joining us. And Alex, see you tomorrow from your Sunday program.
Yes, message. And I'll also see you tomorrow. Okay, then viewers, please share this video, okay, with your friends, your relatives, and even your enemies, okay? Share it because it has to do with individual interests, our interests, how we can work together in unity and promote our country in every way when it comes to food security. We'll be talking about Liberian business ideas next week, Saturday. Join us then. And get to our website, gracioushopefellowship.com, or get our app on your phone. You can get the app on your phone. It is easy. Just go to the App Store, look for Gracious Hope Bible Fellowship. It's going to pop up, and then you can just click Get, and then it's going to download on your phone. And you have a lot of things in that app that will be very interactive for you than what you see on Facebook. So there are a lot of other things in the app that you can, navigate that you cannot find on the website, and subscribe freely to our YouTube channel as well. Until then, we'll see you next Saturday. Bye for now.